Well, flooding has been a major problem this summer. As we know, the National Weather Service has issued more than 3,000 flash flood warnings so far this year. That, by the way, is a record for where we are this year so far. If your car or your home is impacted by flash flooding, well, what do you do?
Robert Sinclair, Senior Manager of Public Affairs for AAA, joins us now to just share some of their flash flooding tips. I mean, we have seen so many vehicles stalled in water, and for a lot of folks, they have that urgency, got to get to school, got to get to work, whatever it may be, and they think, okay, a little bit of water, that's nothing. But it only takes a little, and unfortunately, it goes a long way.
Yeah, I think the advice turn around, don't drown applies in all these circumstances. We see a lot of people drown in their vehicles, and I've looked at the CDC data, and some years it's actually more people drowning in their vehicles than drown at a beach or a pool. It can be very dangerous, particularly at night and particularly in an unfamiliar area. If you're not familiar with the area, that water is, you shouldn't drive into standing water at all. And if that water has gotten up above, say, the middle of the wheels on your vehicle, you could have done a lot of damage.
Let's talk about that, because what should car owners know when you're thinking about this? It could get underneath the hood. I would imagine that would do some damage, so not only into the cabin, but underneath the hood.
Yeah, very definitely. The water can get in and do a lot of damage. The advice is do not start the vehicle if it has been in a flood. The water can penetrate the engine. It can necessitate the changing of fluids like oil and transmission fluid and coolant. And water can seep into the engine. And fans of drag racing may be familiar with the term called hydrolock, when unspent fuel gets into the cylinders and liquids are not compressible. So if you try and start that engine and there's water in the cylinder, you're going to break a piston, a connecting rod, crankshaft, something like that. You're going to have major damage, and you're going to have to replace the engine. Also, there are lots of computers on vehicles these days that control things as mundane as the dome light, as complicated as the fuel delivery and ignition systems. So those could have been shorted out. Having the vehicle towed is important if it's been flooded, and have a technician look it over. And really, EVs, electric vehicles, are extremely vulnerable to being flooded, particularly if that water is salt water. Fresh water might not cause too many problems. You could probably work it out. But salt water can get into lithium-ion batteries and start one of those fires that do not go out. Those fires can burn underwater, and we saw a lot of problems in Florida after some hurricanes some years ago with salt water flooding EVs and creating major, major problems.
Yeah, for sure. I was actually just about to ask about EVs, because it's been a major point of contention, especially with hurricane season really about to start ramping up. But when it comes to vehicles driving through floodwater, even if you make it through the water, it doesn't mean that you've come out unscathed as a whole. I mean, you can still have a lot of issues with your car. And I'm curious if you've noticed any changes from members seeking help, more additional members joining in on AAA, and if there's any advice you may have for folks who are thinking about applying for flood insurance.
Well, certainly we saw a bump in the tri-state area after heavy rains around the 4th of July of people seeking assistance from us to tow their vehicles. Certainly if that water has penetrated deep into the vehicle, into the interior, into the trunk or cargo area, you have to make sure those areas are cleaned very, very well. That water there can fester and create mold and create respiratory problems. And preparing as far as the proper insurance is very important. If you do not have comprehensive policy, a comprehensive insurance policy, it's not going to cover any flood damage. People think if they have liability or collision, it'll take care of it. No, you have to have comprehensive policy. And it's really important that you consult with your insurance agent before these things happen so that you can be prepared.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of different things when it comes to flash flooding. Some things that people maybe don't think about at the top of their head. Robert Sinclair, thanks for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it.